responsible for the shooting death of 71-year-old Woom Sing C. That's spelled W-O-O-M-S-I-N-G-T-S-E, Woom Sing C. First-degree murder charges were approved tonight for 23-year-old Alfonso Joyner. Alfonso, common spelling, last name J-O-Y-N-E-R. Alfonso Joyner is charged with first-degree murder of Woom Sing C. Some of you may have seen the news accounts of the man, Mr. C, that he was. He was a man who came to this country who, just with a few dollars in his pocket and through hard work and a determined spirit, achieved the American dream. Mr. C built a home and provided for his family. He was a father, a husband, a grandfather, a man of the community, a Chicagoan. And yesterday, his life was tragically ended in broad daylight in the Chinatown neighborhood by Joyner. Officers, with the help of community members and surveillance video, were able to track the offender's vehicle and license plate information. Officers from the 9th District located the vehicle on the Kennedy Expressway and began following it. Joyner was eventually placed into custody, and a handgun with an extended magazine was recovered from the vehicle Joyner was driving. I want to reiterate how essential the community was in helping us quickly apprehend the offender. Members of the community immediately called police with information about the offender and provided surveillance video that helped identify him. They helped us bring this offender to justice. Though the family is grieving Mr. C's tragic loss, we hope that this arrest and these charges that were brought brings them a measure of closure to know that the person responsible has been taken off the streets of Chicago. And I want to add, before we bring up Chief of Detective Brendan Dinahan and Commander Don Jerome with the 9th District to speak and come back for questions, that our tip line for a reward of up to $15,000 for any evidence, any information leading to the charges in our conviction for homicide, and a $10,000 reward for any information leading to gun trafficking charges. And that tip line phone number is 833-408-0069. Detectives worked hard on this case, and they have worked hard all year, clearing more homicides this year than we have in 16 years. Officers have recovered more guns than they have off the streets of Chicago illegally possessed than they have on record. More narcotics and gang takedowns, yielding record drug seizures, $419 million in street value and $26 million in U.S. currency from criminal networks, while more officers have been shot at and shot than they have on record. And with that, before I come back for questions, we'll have Chief Dinahan come up and give more details about this investigation and how we brought charges. Don Jerome will talk a little bit about the officers' work and the community involvement, and then I'll come back for questions. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Superintendent. And just to follow up on what the Sup mentioned, extremely tragic incident that, obviously just occurred a little while ago. So I want to thank all the Chamber of Commerce who worked directly with the 9th District officers, which is the reason there was an immediate arrest in this case, and the detectives who were able to work with the State's Attorney's Office to secure charges. So on the 7th of December at 12:30 in the afternoon at 262 West 23rd Place, the 71-year-old victim, Mr. C, was out walking, and the rest of what happened is kind of corroborated on video. You can see a blue car pull up. The driver remains in the car. He discharges a handgun from his vehicle in the direction of Mr. C. The first volley of shots does not strike Mr. C, but you could see how startled he is, obviously just walking down the street. There's a second volley of shots as the offender is still seated in his vehicle, firing from the driver's side. At this point, Mr. C is struck. He immediately falls to the ground. at which point this offender gets out of the vehicle, walks up to the sidewalk, stands over Mr. C, and then immediately fires several more rounds into his body, causing his death. This offender then casually walks back to his vehicle and drives away. And as I mentioned, the reason there was an immediate arrest in this situation is the Chamber of Commerce from this community immediately provided the video to Commander Don Jerome, as well as the 9th District SDSC room, their technology center. And due to that immediate sharing of video, the vehicle along with the plate was identified, at which point the 9th District officers immediately used their intelligence. They were seeking to go to a location where they thought the vehicle may land. Instead, those 9th District officers found the vehicle actually on the expressway, and they called for backup, and they waited till there was a safe place to curb that vehicle, and they took the offender into custody before he could cause more harm to anybody else. So thank you to the Chamber of Commerce and those 9th District officers, because we don't know if this individual would have harmed more people. After he was arrested, he was brought to the Detective Division, where he immediately invoked his right to remain silent. So I know people have a lot of questions on why this individual did that, but this person chose to remain silent. The detectives then worked with the officers, worked with the state's attorney's office, and like I said, there was video evidence to corroborate exactly what happened. And due to the immediate arrest, the gun was recovered, and the detectives, matched the gun to the casings found on the crime scene, and the offender also tested positive for gunshot residue tests. Working directly with the state's attorney's office, we were able to secure those first-degree murder charges, very quickly. And once again, like I said, the credit goes to the officers working directly with this Chamber of Commerce. So I want to thank everybody involved, even though this is obviously an extremely tragic incident. And I'm going to turn it over to the Commander of 9, Don Jerome, to speak a little further about that communication.
Good evening, everyone. My condolences to Mr. C and his family and the Chinatown community. Like the chief said, the real break in this case was almost immediate. The Chinatown Community Watch called me on my cell phone within minutes of this incident occurring. I was able to speak to my sergeant, who was right on the street, on the scene. We were able to get the information to our Strategic Support Center, which is a video network of sorts. We were able to spot the vehicle, get the license plate, determine where that car belonged to, set up on that car, and as the chief mentioned, we were able to locate the car and safely stop it. I can't highlight enough how a tragic, brazen incident, but the police work that the men and women did in the 9th District with the community's help was just a picture-perfect way of apprehending this subject. We've worked hard with the community. We have a very good relationship in Chinatown for years. I've been the commander almost 3 years, and before that a captain. We have a very good relationship, and for my phone to ring almost immediately before I even heard something on the radio because I wasn't working yet, it just shows the commitment that the community has. There were also additional neighbors there. Everybody was willing to give information right from the beginning. So it really was a team effort. And I wanted to mention too, the detectives, I was there all night. The detectives did a great job on this too. So we thank the community, and we're going to work hard. We have several vigils coming up where we're going to continue to support the community as we have, and we'll go from there. Thank you.
We'll take a few questions. So as far as the previous criminal history of the offender, Brendan, we'll have him come back up, but he does have some previous history. We'll go through the details.
The offender has been arrested 4 times, and he has been arrested twice for gun offenses, one of which was a finding of guilty to a misdemeanor gun charge. So he does have guns in his background, but obviously, we're focused on this case at this time. So 2 gun arrests in his background. So at this point, obviously, we just focused on getting this case solved. But I'm very well aware of the cases you're talking about on the north side, and the detectives have already from the north side reached out to these detectives, and we're comparing everything that we possibly can from those cases to this case, or any other case that may appear to be some sort of random act of violence. So we don't know at this time, but we're definitely investigating that based upon what happened here. Could this person have done that somewhere else in the city, specifically those north side cases that you're speaking, of which you're speaking? So we are investigating that, and we don't have any direct links at this time, but obviously it's very early trying to link those cases together.
It appears that way now, but we're continuing the investigation, and any links we'll pursue, obviously, through investigative evidence and leads, and obviously information from the community, if we get those leads from the community. Just a few minutes. It was really an immediate call to the commander, as we've described. And immediately the commander, Don Jerome, reaches out to his sergeants and to his technology center rooms to identify this car. And immediately the car is spotted on the freeway and gets really slowed down in traffic on the freeway, which allowed us to be able to catch up and stop this offender and bring him into custody. Can't say this enough. Thank you to the community for coming forward. We hope that this encourages other communities to come forward. We have the same sense of urgency for all homicides. And we have cleared more homicides than we have in 16 years. And those homicides we've cleared have been all over this city, north side, west side, south side, and obviously in this Chinatown neighborhood. So we're committed with the same sense of urgency in all communities. But we need the community to come forward more and more and more to be able to bring these offenders to justice. Thank you very much.
I am Grace Chan McKibben, SGRACE, MC, capital KIBBEN. I'm the Executive Director for Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community, and I'm speaking on behalf of my colleagues here that Chinatown is a very close-knit community. The Chinatown Chamber of Commerce has maintained a number of security cameras in the community for a while, and we work very closely with police. Safety is often cited as one of the most important issues that the community cares about. So whenever something like this happens, it's devastating. But we're glad that in this case it was solved quickly.
Thank you all very much.